Hey guys, Moose here. Welcome back to another episode of Life is Feudal Forest Village. Bunch of stuff to talk about. Hopefully we get this finished today. Yeah, I remember now I put the opening on the wrong side. That's fine. Life goes on. The house is done, so really we're just waiting for people to grow up pretty much, but we're alright on resources. We obviously need more, but you know, we have some and that's better than things were. We're not building as much as we were. But few things to talk about. Not really good things, I guess. Basically, so I talked about this in more detail on the last Moonlighter episode, but 3 people watched that, which kind of illustrates the problem a little bit. So I'll talk about it here as well, because most of you guys that watch the channel watch this primarily, or exclusively. Probably exclusively at this point. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for not watching the other videos. That's not your guys' fault. That's on me, if it's on anyone at all. But I've been thinking a lot more about the YouTube stuff, and you probably noticed, or didn't, because no one's watching Moonlighter anyway, that I put out less videos and in a less consistent time span over this last week. And there are a number of factors for that. One of them is that I've been on PTO, and if you've ever sprinted or ran a long distance or done something exhausting, you can kind of keep going to a degree, and you can keep doing it, and you know, as long as you keep the momentum going, you're kind of alright, even if it's not great. But once you stop, it's, you know, you can't just stop a little, you stop full stop. So with work going as crazy stressful as it has been, once I let my foot off the gas on that, it was difficult not to also let my foot off the gas with the YouTube thing, especially when you combine it with the stuff I talked about before, where, you know, being on YouTube is making less and less sense every day, pretty much, it feels like. There was a quote, I didn't mention this in the Moonlighter episode, but there was a quote that I saw. Someone went to YouTube's offices to talk to them. A YouTuber. I don't know the guy, but what he said made its way around to someone that I do pay attention to on Twitter, and they retweeted it, so it said something like, he asked, like, hey, the algorithm has a lot of problems, like, what are you guys thinking about doing to try to improve that and help us out? Because there's a lot of issues that stem from the algorithm. If you think about YouTube as a product, discovery, like, you can't really go and search for content like this. It's very difficult. Like, you can't be like, hey, I'm gonna put in the search bar, show me a guy with, like, what would you search for if you're trying to find someone to watch? Like, yeah, you can't describe the person making the content, because it's not gonna, like, unless you know their name, you're not gonna find them. So the only way you can find them is through either YouTube recommending it, or just they happen to have done some series or video or something with someone that you like, and therefore it's in there. So finding people, especially small people like me, and a lot of, pretty much the majority of people on YouTube, is difficult unless something gets out of control and gets posted elsewhere, or you do some kind of collaboration. And the issues with the algorithm have basically come down to, if you're already big and you've already hit your success, then it favors you, and if you haven't, then you're gonna get nothing, basically. So anyone small, people have been noticing that you're kind of getting screwed a little bit if you're small. Like, the growth isn't what it used to be. And even for me, I haven't even been here that long. I've been doing this for 2 years now. Even for me, it's not what it used to be. But this guy, he asked the YouTube representative, you know, hey, what are you guys thinking about? What are you planning on doing with your algorithm? Do you have anything in the works? And the thing that he found most significant that he could share from that conversation was that the person at YouTube said, We prefer not to call it an algorithm, we prefer to call it the audience. Which means that tells you actually a lot about YouTube's attitude and their perspective on this entire situation. Basically, they don't really give a shit about any of the things that I just said. That's what that fundamentally means. It's very telling, because they're basically, by saying that, they're saying, oh, it's not us, it's the audience. The audience doesn't want what you're pushing, so we're not gonna promote it, but the audience can't find it unless we promote it, so... You know, it's like a chicken or egg thing, like, you can't get to the point where people want it. You can't get yourself out there, really, unless YouTube promotes it. And if they're changing the way that they're doing it to be more based on... really, like... I'm assuming it's probably a little bit more driven by profit. Because, of course it is. Everything that they're changing is driven by profit. That's been their sole focus for quite a while now. And it's short-term profit, too. We're talking about big people. And celebrities. People who are already celebrities outside of anything internet-related. And that's where their focus has been. So that signals pretty clearly that, you know, a guy like me, there's no future in YouTube at all. Pretty much. Among other things and other actions that they've taken, like... this one I somewhat sympathize with them on, but it's been a big deal recently that advertisers have been deliberately putting anti-LGBT ads on LGBT content, which, this is what I basically said in the Moonlighter episode. If it's a product, it's whatever, right? Because you know, I'm not going to be personally offended that you're advertising a you know, food, some kind of food that I don't agree with on my channel. Like, that's never gonna piss anyone off in a serious way. Not a significant number of people. But when you have political ads like that, when someone is deliberately targeting your content to post, to put up ads that agree with you, and you have no say in that matter, you just kind of, it happens and you don't have any kind of control, it's not a good feeling. So they've been catching flack for that. But I understand YouTube isn't necessarily deciding to do that. It's just that the way marketing works, the tools that you're given allow that to happen. Facebook operates the same way. And people have issues with Facebook too, so fair enough. Maybe it's a problem, but on that one, I a little bit sympathize with YouTube. Still a problem, but I get why that's possible, and I don't think that is inherently a problem. Because it's been working fine. That's the way it's always worked. It's just people have become a lot more divisive over the last decade, probably, I would say. But anyway, the point is, with Discovery, like, one of the biggest strengths, really the biggest strength, I would say, that YouTube always had, was Discovery was really good. Like, realistically, if I'm making videos, there's no way that any of you should have been able to find me. In the sea of content that exists on YouTube, I don't stick out. Like, nothing I'm doing is unique or anything, so how did you find me? And therein lies the value of YouTube's Discovery. The way Discovery works on YouTube, I mean. And if you have that, and it's working great, then you've got a good product. Like, that's the strength of YouTube's product. The problem is, they're going away from that. They've decided that, no, we don't want it to work that way. We want it to just push whatever's making us the most money. Which might make things better for them in the short term, but it will kill them in the long term. Because that content, there's no mechanism for replenishment. You know, it's just whatever you've got now, that's all you're going to have. No one new is going to come in because you're stopping them from doing that. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue for them, I think. Like, you don't get the advantage of Let's Plays existing at all, because this only existed because someone did it and found, hey, actually people want to watch this. No one at YouTube would have ever greenlit saying, like, hey, let's support this so it becomes a thing. That would have never happened. No one at any business would have done that, because why? That makes no sense. Why would you ever do that? The only reason it exists is because there was a mechanism in place that allowed it to exist, and allowed it to kind of find its place and succeed without having to be 100% in from the get-go. And the way that it works now is you kind of have to already be there to do anything. So basically what it boils down to is, if I'm being honest with myself, it would be insane for me to think that I have any kind of a future on YouTube. And that's not me specifically, that's just, I think if you're small and you're on YouTube and you're doing Let's Plays or anything like this, if you consider all the factors and you look at the landscape and the market, you would be insane to think that you have any kind of a future on this platform. You just don't. YouTube doesn't want you to be here. They're not pushing your content anywhere. This isn't the right format for what they are pushing. Even if you did have the numbers, it's, you know, it's not there. It's just not there. This would, if you want to do this, it's on Twitch. That's it. That's really what it boils down to, is if you're ever going to do something like this kind of content, it's on Twitch. So where that puts me at the end, and another reason why this week has been so rocky as far as uploads and timing and everything, is really like, it's hard to be motivated looking at those realities. And the more I think about it, the more I look at it, it feels like crap. Like, it feels like I'm wasting my time, honestly. Because again, YouTube doesn't give a shit. They don't care at all. They're never going to push what I'm doing. And they weren't doing a lot in the first place. But I mean, I got to pretty much 1,000 subs. Like, I feel like that's a pretty significant accomplishment. I don't think it's something that I should be like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm so awesome. That's not it at all. I just think it, you know, it takes perseverance to get to this point, and I'm somewhat proud of myself for getting there, but I don't think YouTube wants me here. That's the feeling that I have at this point. And at that point, why... Basically, the point that I'm working towards mentally is like, why do this at all? Because there's no long-term future here for me. YouTube doesn't want me here. And if they don't want me here, then I'm never going to find success here. I'm just not. It's not possible, because they have the keys. The only thing that gets views is what they show people. I don't, like, how many times do you even search on YouTube anymore? Unless you have something specific that you already want to look at, not going to happen. So it's rough. Anyway, but I'm kind of, like, motivation is way down. And I'm sort of mentally approaching the point where it feels like I'm wasting my time. Like I'd be better off doing almost anything else. Doing some kind of like... Well, I'd want to really, if I was going to invest the time elsewhere, I'd want to, in the short term, probably not invest it in doing more Twitch streams. I was thinking right now that doesn't really make sense, but if I invest this time into learning some new skills, give it a couple years, and then once I move, which is complicated to explain, but I know where I'm moving in a couple years, it's gonna change a lot of things for me. I'm actually staying in the same area, but fundamentally I'm moving. My parents are building a rear unit to their house, so I'm basically, my parents are gonna be my landlord, and I'm gonna have my own little unit in the back of their house. In the backyard, basically, totally separate thing. So I'm not living with my parents, but we're taking advantage of property that we own because rent in the Bay Area is out of control. And that's going to afford me some opportunities financially, and also from a time perspective, because of the location that is going to make my life somewhat easier. And also, probably, there's a lot of things that'll be different about my life at that point. So probably if I was going to increase the amount of time I was going to spend streaming, it would probably be around then. Most likely, but I mean, who knows where things will be. I might have a different job, who knows. But it doesn't really make sense right now. What I should be doing right now is investing time in learning new skills, because I've neglected that a bit over the last few years, and I need to improve myself. And YouTube has been part of that. Like, I've benefited personally from doing this, but I think we're at the end of those improvements, unfortunately. So it's no longer something that's like helping me or benefiting me personally. But anyway, so I don't want to be all depressing, but that's kind of where, you know, my head's at, and I feel like I should explain to you guys why. I don't even know if you guys notice, really, but over the last week, videos were not, like, I think one Life is Feudal episode was a day late, one of them was like 6 hours late, the other one was on time, but, you know, it hasn't been a good week. It hasn't been a good month, it hasn't been a good year, even, really. But, yeah. That's kind of my perspective, and I know for those of you that do watch this series, that probably doesn't make you very happy, but on the bright side, nothing is changing right now. I'm not planning on changing anything at the moment, but if you don't see new series coming along or anything like that, you know why. And to be fair, like I was saying, no one's watching the new series anyway, so as far as I can tell, you guys won't be bothered by that. And again, I don't blame any viewers for what does or does not get views. That's not on you guys. If it's not fun to watch, you're not going to watch it, and that's the way it should be. My issues are with YouTube and YouTube alone. I have no issues whatsoever with viewers or subs or anything like that. That's not... It's not an issue with the customers, it's an issue with the business that I'm doing business with, unfortunately. Or my content. You could definitely argue that my content is not up to par, and that's why I'm not seeing success as well, but honestly, the outcome, if that's the case, is still pretty much the same. So, what difference does it make? Is this only the top floor, or is it top and bottom? It's only the top floor. Like, this exists, but it's not enterable. It's just there. Okay, good to know. Trying to see, like, if there's a physical space difference between the barns. I don't think there actually is, interestingly. If anything, this one looks slightly bigger. I know it might look more cramped, but that's just because there's more stuff in it and the pillars. I think overall it's taller than this one. Yeah, it's much taller than this one. But this holds more. So I guess, I don't know, maybe the stack size has changed or something. Who knows? I'd have to see it full, I guess, to see how much space is utilized. Because in the original barn, I don't think the center aisle is used at all. Which makes sense, because how would you access anything if the center's used? It'd be tough for them to carry anything out if it was. Alright, so we have tools now, so that's helping us out a bit, I think. We're processing stuff quickly. It's a little hard to tell. Get some more wood. Always need more wood. As we learned from our last playthrough, that's one of the things you run out of the most. I think stone is going to be my biggest limiting resource for the short term, just because I'm building so many, like, high-cost things, but... And pavement, obviously, but pavement doesn't really take that much. Considering how long it takes to build a single square of pavement, the fact that it costs 12 is not really that big of a deal. But, what are you gonna do? Just a random moose wandering around our residential area. We'll pretend that's me. Not sure what I'm doing, but... there I go. Back into the wilderness. But, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll try some different stuff. It'd be a different story, like, it's... This is such, like, an obvious thing, but I wish I could... I wish I didn't have to worry about money and I could just do this. Not this specifically, but streaming and YouTubing all together. Just, I wish that could be the thing that I did. Though even then, to be honest, I don't think that's really what I want to do long term with my life. I'd rather be a developer. Or, like, designer. Game designer, not interior designer, obviously. Time to kill the moose. Sorry, moose, you're dead. Or a writer. But I don't know if I'm... I don't know if I'm actually a good writer. I'm good at English, but that doesn't mean I'm a good writer. I think being a good writer also has a lot to do with telling stories, and I don't really understand the mechanics of telling stories too much. There's things like the hero's journey, which you should read about if you're interested in writing, that I don't totally understand, that I... Basically, if I was ever going to seriously get into that stuff, and I'm doing it as a hobby, basically, when I have free time, which is almost never, but that kind of thing where I want to learn and understand better so I can actually be skilled and not trash. I think I could be a good writer with time, but it would take a lot more time. Like, I'm way better at anything math-related, and I would be able to just jump straight into that. Like, data analysis I can do in my sleep at this point. That kind of thing. Statistics I'd be really good at. I just wish I could... I wish I had infinite free time and I can do anything, because I would love... Anyway, we're at the end of the episode, but like one of my daydreams and like fantasies, if I could have everything I ever wanted, would be just immortality and then like a giant spaceship filled with all media ever created. And just spend my life learning and reading and like developing new skills and making stuff, and like it'd be amazing. And libraries are some of the most beautiful buildings and architecture that you'll ever see, especially inside. Check out some of the world's, like, I've seen this a few places, including on Reddit recently, but check out some of the world's most beautiful libraries, because there's all kinds of different styles, and they're all just stunningly beautiful. And none of them are near me, I don't think, which pisses me off, but, like, libraries are some of the most beautiful places in the world, as far as man-made stuff goes, anyway. But that is going to do it for today's episode, so thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you'll join me for the next episode as well. If you did enjoy it, feel free to come by twitch.tv/electronicmoose, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. PST, 9 to 11 p.m. EST. Check out a stream if you like. If not, thanks for watching here on YouTube, and I'll see you next time. Take care.